Hi there, it's Ron again. Just finished a run a few minutes ago, and it's been several days since I got on and made a video. Downtown Dallas in the background there. So I wanted to get on and talk about some mental health stuff. In particular, grudges and hate, and how little they do for your mental health. And I want to talk about Donald Trump and Dzhokhar Tsarnaev and the Boston Marathon bombings, and a little bit of my story. And this is not about whether you love or hate Donald Trump. This is not a political post, because that's not the point. The point being, I see a lot of people, a lot of really good people, people I love, people I care about, even people I'm acquainted with that I think are probably pretty good people, who are, there's no other way to put it, they are consumed with hatred for Donald Trump. And I get that up to a point. Many of you know where I stand politically, because I don't make too many secrets of it. But again, that's not really the point of this. The point is that I see a lot of people who have a consuming hatred of him, and they're allowing him to live in their heads rent-free 24/7, 365. Here's where I know a little bit about this. I don't claim to be an expert on anything, but Mr. Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, some of you know that's a name that I swore that I would never say or write or acknowledge ever again after the 2013 Boston Marathon bombings, because that's a man who wrecked a lot of lives, ended 4 lives, actually 5 I think, but ended 4 lives that week, and left a lot of wreckage behind, aside from the I think 290 or so people who were physically damaged in the bombings. There were many thousands who carried mental damage, including PTSD, survivor's guilt, which sometimes I think go hand in hand, caused, I'll just speak for myself here, really just fucked up my life beyond anything I ever thought it was going to be. As you know, had the bombings, came home. Fortunately, I had my dog Pretty Girl to help me along, help me weather the initial storm. But a few months later, as many of you know, a few months later she died fairly suddenly. She was sick for just a few days, and then I was on my own with, really, in my mind, nothing left to look forward to except crossing the finish line the following year, because I was denied that in 2013. And the more details that I found out about Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, the angrier I got. I didn't think that was possible. But when, we saw the video and pictures of him setting that backpack down right next to Martin Richard, 8-year-old boy that was killed, and not too far away from that was Lindsay Liu, 23-year-old college student, and just casually walking away. To him, it was just Monday. To him, casually walked away. 15, 20 seconds later, whatever, sets off that bomb. Maybe that didn't bother him one bit. And that's a point to remember here. Maybe it didn't bother him one bit. Maybe he was that far gone psychologically and in his soul that he didn't care. I don't think he did. Well, that leaves us. People that were physically damaged, people that were mentally, emotionally damaged. I had a lot of hatred for the guy. For several years, in fact. And as I told my therapist many times, and I've worked through this with her, I had so much hatred for him that it frightened me. Although that anger and hatred was really justifiable because of what he did, ending 4 lives and turning thousands of other lives upside down. Not to mention friends and family members of people who came away from that with PTSD and an anxiety disorder and other mental health issues. They have to deal with the after effects of how it affected us. And again, as I told my therapist, I was, I'm going to walk back this way. I was so angry 24/7, 365 that it frightened me. And I'm no stranger to anger. I've had, a lot of difficulties in my life that cause justifiable anger. But to me, I almost felt bad about it. In fact, I did kind of feel bad about it because in my mind, I kept going back to, how is it possible that I could hate another human being this much? And by the way, some mystery vans are pulling up here. Hope they're not DHS. That I was wrestling with how it was possible that I could hate another human being that much. That 24/7, 365, I wanted nothing more than for him to die a horrible death, preferably at my hands. Because I was thinking about a blowtorch and a pair of pliers and torture the guy to death. I thought that would have made me happy. Well, 2015, as most people know, he got his trial. And I was in the odd position of reminding people that he deserved a fair trial. Everyone does a fair trial with a good lawyer representing them and all that. Of course, we know he was found guilty, and then I think it was a few days later, got the death penalty. He's in Supermax, and Dzhokhar Tsarnaev is in Supermax in Colorado now. I guess just waiting until they start all the appeals and everything. Here's the thing. My anger did not end when he was found guilty and got the death penalty. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I was thinking and hoping that as soon as that happened in April, it was mid-April 2015 that all that came down. Sorry, there's just a lot of unusual activity outside right now. In the back of my mind, I was thinking there would be closure. That once he got found guilty and got his sentence, which was the death penalty, which at the time I was hoping for the death penalty, which he got. I've revised that since then. I I was thinking, oh, I'll feel a lot better after that. I won't be so angry all the time. I was so wrong about that. So incredibly wrong. There was a temporary relief. I could see and feel many thousands of people who were concerned about it breathed a sigh of relief, made it all official. Yes, he was found guilty, sent to Supermax in Colorado, all that stuff. Well, and then he's gone, and that's it. He's not getting out. But that feeling of relief was pretty temporary. And in case you're wondering, that dark spot is just a dark spot on my beard. That was kind of temporary. I mean, there was some security knowing that he's gone for good from free society. But the anger and rage, the raw anger and hatred, the hatred was still there. I still was never going to say the names Dzhokhar Tsarnaev or that of his brother Tamerlan Tsarnaev. Was never going to write their names or acknowledge. That didn't help me. None of that helped me. Maybe maybe temporarily I kind of needed that, but what happened is that old cliche of, you know, holding a grudge. It's a cliche, but I think it's true. That holding a grudge it's like pouring acid into a vessel. You're just damaging the vessel. You're just damaging yourself. Doesn't have much, if any, effect at all on the person that you hate or the grudge that you're holding. I mean, the person that you hate, the grudge you have against them, they likely don't even know. Even if they do know, they might not even give a shit. So you're left with all that anger and hatred. And he's sitting over in that jail cell. So I was still a year away from finding my first counselor or therapist, 2 years away from finding the one that really helped me a lot. So looking back, I can see how that just damaged me more every day. Every time I thought about it, every day, that was just damaging me more and more and more. And it wasn't until a couple years later, when I started talking about it with my current therapist, that I started working through that more, through cognitive therapy. And just, well, as she said, you let yourself feel it, just like grief, same thing with anger. She said there's nothing wrong with letting yourself feel it. Go ahead and immerse yourself in it when it hits you. When it is healthy, when it is unhealthy is when you're just constantly thinking about it 24/7. Kind of the same thing with grief. If it's just constantly on your mind, that's unhealthy. When it comes and goes in waves, it's like grief. Grief comes and goes in waves. It's normal to feel it. It's normal. It's healthy to let yourself feel it. But when you cling to it and keep grasping it 24/7, especially grudges and hate, it starts damaging you. And looking back, I can really see how really held back my progress. Because I initially found some therapy in 2016, which, like I said, wasn't the right fit for me. Then there was a pause, and it was August of 2017 that I found my current therapist, who has really helped me progress a lot, come a long way since then. And one of the main things we talked about was working my way through these things, letting myself feel it, but not grasping onto it like I was. I don't know if there's a better way to explain it or not. But my point here is that in November, if Donald Trump loses, and looks like there's a good chance he will, and again, I'm not going to get into the politics of it on this video, because that's not the point of this video. Whether you love Donald Trump or hate him, it doesn't really matter it does for the people that hate him for the purposes of this video. If he loses in November, and then he'll be in office until January, Inauguration Day, your anger and your grudge and your hatred is not going to just go away. Yes, you'll be happy if Joe Biden wins. You'll be happy. Some people will just be like, oh, relief, just relief, who might not be crazy about Joe Biden. Other people will be thrilled to death, dancing in the streets and all that, and that's fine. Celebrate, I'm always for a good celebration. But trust me on this, because I thought I was I celebrated when Dzhokhar Tsarnaev was found guilty and got his death penalty. I celebrated. Temporarily, it made me ecstatic, temporarily. And then as the days and weeks and months went by, I could see that, wow, I still have this just intense hatred for this human being. And here's the thing, okay, if Donald Trump loses and he's gone out of office, it's very likely he's still going to be alive. And he's still going to be in the news, because that's what he does. He makes the news. And that's partly because y'all want him to make the news. If people weren't paying attention, he wouldn't be in the news so much. He wouldn't be driving the news cycle. Well, anyway, you're going to have to find a way to get rid of that anger. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, yeah, no, it'll be gone when he's out of office. It'll be gone by January at the latest, once the next president is sworn in. It'll be gone. But what if it's not? And honestly, for a lot of people, I don't think it will be gone. You'll still have that hatred for him, because like I said, he'll still be making the news. Lord knows how much. It might not be every day anymore, but and like I said, I just finished a run in the night heat, so my hair is kind of a mess. My hair is pulled back. When you're holding a grudge and hatred on that level, on that deep level, it doesn't go away. And when it's things like, as a lot of people have learned, when it's someone they hated who died, it's pretty unlikely that your hatred and your grudge ended the day that they died, or even the day after, or the week after. You have to find a way to work yourself through that. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with letting yourself feel that and acknowledging it. That's the key thing my therapist always tells me. You acknowledge it, that you have this rage, this blind, raw hatred for this person. You acknowledge it, because that's just the truth. But then you have to find a way to move on. You have to find a way to focus on better things ahead. And I've managed to do that with Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. Now, understand, I don't know that I can honestly say that I've forgiven him. I don't know that I ever will truly forgive him. I think there's more of an acceptance of what happened, and maybe that's all we need is the acceptance. Other people, including the family of Martin Richard, they publicly forgave him at the trial, which amazes me. I admire and respect the hell out of that. And I look at them as a role model of how to move on. They publicly forgave the guy, and I think they were sincere about it. Of course, I don't know that for sure because only they know that part. But again, I don't know if I can honestly say that. I don't know if I can honestly say that I'll ever truly forgive him, but we move on, and there's so many more things in life to look ahead to, so many more people, and the thing that I'll stress is how much that was holding me back from working my way through all my mental health issues, depression and PTSD and anxiety disorder and ADD. Of course, that's something else entirely, but I do know it was holding me back a lot. And when I finally started working my way through that and letting go, and then there's another cliche, but it's true, letting go of that, just talking about it now, every time I say his name without flying into a rage, I feel better. I can breathe. I can breathe again. There's a Robert Plant song called Little by Little, where he sings, I can breathe again, I can breathe again. He wrote that about his first divorce. But I mean, there's an example of, sometimes people go through a nasty divorce, and some of you watching probably know. I know I have friends who have gone through nasty divorces, and they told me that they had to learn how to just move on. It didn't matter. Here's the thing, it did not matter who was right or wrong, all that stuff. And maybe that person did horrible things. Maybe they didn't, but maybe they did horrible things. But they had to find ways to move on so they could lead a full life and be happy. Well, this is way longer than I thought it was going to be. But just think about that. And just know, with everything going on, just know there are brighter days ahead. And everyone hang in there. Take care of each other. I'll talk to you soon.